Hello and welcome to another video. As you can see here, if the knight is on a dark square, its next move is going to a light square. And if the knight is on a light square, its next move is going to a dark square. Now from its starting position, let's look at the black knight here. It's only really covering 1, 2, 3 squares because it's on the outer rim there. Let's say it moves up closer toward the center. Let's see what happens there. How many squares? Now, just by moving a little bit closer to the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares it attacks or controls. Let's go back to the starting position. And let's see what it's going to do now. Let's put it on the rim. You know, they say a knight on the rim is dim because it doesn't protect as many squares as it would if it were more toward the center of the board. Okay, so on the side like that, in that particular place, it's only protecting or attacking 4 squares. All right, so let's go back to the starting position there for the black knight. Let's say he comes down and puts the king in check. Okay, now the knight is attacking 8 squares, including the one the king is on. So let's see what happens if the king moves to the square directly under the black knight. All right, so the king is going to move there. Now, moving there, let's see how many moves it takes for the black knight to put the king in check again. Let's see if he goes blue and then red. That would do it, blue and then red. So 2 moves. Let's say the knight comes down and put the king in check again. Let's see this time, where will the king go? And how many moves will it take for the knight to put him in check again? Okay, so the king is going to move down to a white square, and there will be 2 squares between the king and the knight. Okay, now let's see how many moves it takes for the knight to check the king again. Okay, you can see right there, the knight is attacking or protecting 8 squares. Let's say the black has a pawn here. In that case, the knight can come down right next to the king because the king can't take the knight because the pawn is protecting it. So that's 1 move for the black knight. Now 1 more move and boom, the king is in check again. So only 2 moves to put the king in check if black has another piece. Let's say we put the king back where he was. This time, let's see how many moves it takes for the black knight to check the king. Okay, so he's going to go there. That's 1. Let's see how many more moves to put the king in check. Oh, 1 more, 2. So 2 moves total to put the king in check based on where he was in relation to the black knight. Let's do another example. Okay, let's say the black knight comes down, puts the king in check. Let's say this time the king goes to the black square diagonally and is diagonally away from the knight, and there's 1 square between them. Okay, there's a green circle showing the square between the king and the knight. Now, how many moves will it take to put the king in check again? Let's see. How many moves can you find to put the king in check? Let's see. If the knight goes blue, red, green on this way, so 3 moves to put the king in check. What if he goes this way? Blue, red, green, check. There's actually some other ways too. You can get a board and practice for yourself. So 3 moves it takes to check the king when he was diagonally 1 step away. Now here's another example. Black checks the king. Let's see, where is the king going to go this time? Okay, this time he's going to take the square right diagonally next to the knight. And let's see, how many moves does black have to do to check the king again? So let me see. Just one move. He can go to either of those green circles, and the white king will be in check. Right? So let's see. Let's go put the knight back at the starting position. Let's say he puts the king in check. Let's see now. Where haven't we gone as an example to see? Oh, let's say the king goes 2 blocks, 2 squares underneath the knight. Okay, 2 squares under the knight. Now, how many moves does the black knight have to do to check the king? Wow, just one. One move and the king is checked again. All right, let's see. Okay, now this is a little diagram I came up with. If the king is in check and the black knight is on a dark square, if the king goes to any dark square near him, he could get attacked. He could be checked again by the knight just moving one time, except if the king goes to that diagonal 2 steps away from the knight. And if he goes to a white square, he can be checked in 2 moves. So these are good to know. Now here's what happens if the knight is on a white square and the king is on a dark square. And you think, okay, if the king is here, if he moves to wherever you see the number 1, he can be put in check in 1 move by the knight. If he goes to any of the squares with the number 2, it would take 2 moves for the knight.